Today I'm doing a video all about why authors shouldn't read their reviews. Hello and welcome back to Headspace. My name is Stephen, I'm a fantasy author. Today I'm talking about why as an author you shouldn't ever read your reviews, whether that's on Amazon or Goodreads and so on. But there are a number of different issues to break down in this topic. It's not quite as clear cut as you might imagine. If you feel strongly enough about a book to leave a positive or a negative review, and I encourage you to do both really, it's signalling to other readers what they should do with their time. Is it worth investing in this book? Is it worth buying this book? These are the things that you like about the story, these are the things that it covers, this is what you think it's about, and you lay it all out. Some people do really long reviews, go into depth, explaining all the different things. Some don't. Sometimes some people just put a couple of lines. Now I appreciate the longer reviews, not for me, but for other readers, because if someone just posts, "This book was great," that doesn't help, just as if someone said, "This book was crap." It doesn't actually tell you what was bad about it, what was good about it. People who take the time to do the long reviews are brilliant. Now obviously not every review has to be War and Peace. And a lot of people do reviews on BookTube now and on TikTok, and we know all about BookTok and how that's taken off and exploded in some areas and makes some books kind of massive successes and they may not have got the same audience before. So all of that is good and positive because it's getting more people reading. But reviews are designed for readers. You never write a review talking to the author. If you do, most of them aren't reading. I'm not certainly reading mine. Even if it's a positive one and you're saying nice things to me through the medium of this review, I'm not going to see them because I just don't read them. Now the other day I did an interview with Richard Swan and he was saying that he reads his 5-star reviews and it gives him a nice kind of ego boost. He makes him feel positive, but he doesn't read the rest. I don't read either side because if I'd read the 5-star ones, I think, I'm quite a good writer, I'm quite enjoying this, and it can give you a bit of an ego and it can give you a bit of a big head. And if you read too many of these things, I think you can buy into your own kind of mythology in some ways. And we've seen it on, much grander scales with some movie stars, that they believe that they're something other as opposed to being an actor who makes films. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be walking around with a robe and some kind of entourage of people reading out 5-star reviews. But there's that kind of temptation that you might start to veer down that road just a little bit if you only read the good stuff about your books. And equally, if you only read the 1-star reviews, then that's just going to be complete torture. That's just stabbing yourself over and over with a pin. And why would you do it? And if you read all of your reviews, that's pretty much a job in itself. Before I go on, I should say, if you write negative reviews, by all means, if you feel strongly enough about something and you explain why and you lay it out, fair enough. I may disagree if it's, my books or even a book that I quite like, but never ever tag in the author. I shouldn't have to say this, but I keep seeing it happen time and time again on social media. Most authors have a presence on social media now. It's not required, but it's kind of expected to a degree, so that if the publisher or other people are talking about your book, they can link it to you. So if you're writing a negative review, do a quick check. Take 2 seconds to see if the author is on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, and don't copy them in. If you're writing a positive review, then great, why not? Send it in and copy the person in. There again, the author may not read the review at all, whether it's positive or negative. They might just sort of say, thanks for the coverage or thanks for talking about my book because it's good promotion. But you may be getting a conversation with them. It really depends upon the individual, but don't copy them in on negative reviews. A counter argument I've seen for why authors should read their reviews is that they should learn from them. Read everything, positive and negative. Take the praise and the criticism and use all of that to improve the stories in the future. Now, there are lots of problems with that perspective. One is that it shows you don't understand the timing of how publishing works. I'm talking about traditional. With self-publishing, it's obviously faster and you could make some adjustments if you wanted. With traditional, it's already happened. When book 1 comes out of a series, the author has probably already written book 2, or is nearly done with it, or it's in heavy edits, and they're working on the 3rd one because the publishing cycle can be anywhere from 12 to 18 months. So if you're saying, oh, you need to redo this on the book, it's too late, it's out, you can't change it, or in the next book I want to see that it's probably too far along. So that's the first issue with saying authors should read and learn from their reviews. The second thing is, if you get a lot of very diverse and different reviews, who are you supposed to listen to? If the majority of reviews of a book said it's really, really slow, and almost every single review is talking about it, then that's probably something you should look at. But if some reviewers say, pacing was brilliant, it's perfect, spot on, someone else is saying it's too slow, someone else is saying it's too fast, who do you listen to? Which is your trusted source? There's no majority anymore. What do you do in that event? It's the same with characters. Some reviews would say, I wish I had more time with this character. I didn't like that character. I don't know why we have to have them. You're not going to suddenly start deleting characters because of reviews. It just doesn't make any sense. And equally, it's basically like listening to, it's not a choir, it's 1,000 different voices. And not to kind of disrespect reviewers, because as I've just said, I appreciate them taking the time to do that and to actually write a review detailing what they liked and didn't like. It's really, really helpful, because sometimes negative reviews can still be useful to other readers. They will look at it and a review could say, the book is too slow, it spends too much time on the characters and not enough time on battles. And someone else could say, oh, actually I want more character stuff and I'm okay with not having much battles. And they'll pick it up. And equally, it could go the other way on a positive review. But that there again is for the readers, it's not for the author. So in addition, as an author, to having 100, 200, 5,000 different viewpoints, and you can't create a majority, given what I've all have just said, why should I as the author listen to you as the reader? What qualifications do you have in publishing or editing or proofreading? Now you could say, I've been reading fantasy for 30 years, I know what's good, I know what I enjoy, and that's the key thing. It's what you enjoy as an individual. You can't speak for the audience because they're all so different, and you can't speak directly to the author. You can't direct them in their career, in their book, in their style. That's not up for you to decide. When some reviews say something like, I wanted to see more time with this character, or if I was doing it, I would have focused on these different areas. That would have been you if you had written that book and you were the author, but you're not. So those kind of reviews are completely pointless, because it's talking about expectation from you, what you wanted, versus what it actually delivered. Now, as a personal choice, it's absolutely valid. You wanted to see more of X and Y and you didn't get it. But that's not their responsibility. They're not serving you as an individual. They're trying to serve the audience, which is everybody. And there are so many different views and different perspectives. So how on earth are we supposed to listen to that? And as I said, going back to the qualification things, why should I listen to your particular review if you say the book is too slow versus the next reviewer who says the book is too fast, it just needs to slow down a bit? As an author, reviews are very important. It spreads the word in the writing community, tells other people about the book, and hopefully more people then pick up the book. Now, whether it is on Goodreads or Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever it is on social media, all of that is good for raising awareness, getting eyeballs, getting people to see the book and think, oh, I'll take a look and investigate it and hopefully buy the book. We rely on that, and we need readers, obviously, because we wouldn't have a job without it, and we need people to talk about the book to spread the word. But we're not beholden to the reviewers, as it were. We're beholden to the readers because they're the customers, they're kind of buying the products, but we're not changing it depending upon how you feel about the book. Now, there is a kind of halfway house between these two things in some ways. As an author, there are obviously certain people whose opinion I listen to when I've written the book, and they tell me how to edit it and work on it. And that begins primarily with my agent, who will give me feedback on the book, my editors, if you have more than one, and other people who I'm connected to. Now, the halfway house I'm talking about could be your beta readers. These are people who always read the book when you've done the first draft or second draft or whatever it may be. And these are trusted sources. Now, some people have used reviewers who've then become beta readers. Some authors have looked at reviews or seen who's very kind of popular or very vocal about a series and investigated them and then contacted them and said, right, I'm working on the next book in this series. I value the feedback you provided. Can you come on board and be a beta reader? So there's another reason that if you're writing detailed reviews, you never know who might be reading it. It might be the author, it might be someone connected to them who could direct the author to a particular reviewer and say, this person really gets what you've been doing. They didn't just do a surface review. They can see the subjects that you're tackling. They can see the nuance behind the stuff on the surface. You might want to contact them if you're looking for more beta readers. So that kind of stuff does happen. But day to day, I'm not going to go and read a bunch of reviews and see if someone says, oh, the books are just really slow, and think, right, okay, this next chapter, I'm going to make it really, really fast, and the rest of the book, I'm going to make it fast. I'm going to go back and edit everything else and make it really, really fast. Because it just doesn't make any sense. So listen to the people that I trust as I'm working on the book, as I'm planning the book even. And that comes back to the market expectation versus what can be sold in terms of traditional publishing. Here's an example. A few years ago, I started talking to my author about an urban fantasy book, and I hadn't written it. I had some ideas. I'd started making notes, and she said to me, how far into the process are you? And I said, oh, well, I'm planning it and this, that, and the other. And she said, okay, I would shelve it for now, and these are the reasons. And this was to do with what was going on in the market at the time. She didn't think it would sell without having even heard anything about the book, because the market was saturated at that point. There was a lot of Me Too products, and she knew that it's an investment of time. It takes me, 8, 9, 12 months to write the book. Then we go through a year of edits, and then, maybe 6 months after that, the book will come out. So that's 2.5 years sometimes. And she knew that right now isn't a good time for that, because by the time the book comes out, who knows how many other urban fantasy books could have come out. So there again, it's a trusted source. I could have just ploughed on and written the book, and maybe I could have self-published it, and maybe it would have found an audience. But that's a huge risk, and that's a massive investment of my time that I need not have done. And equally, it requires me to invest my own money in promotion, marketing, editing, and so on, versus with traditional publishing, I don't pay for any of that. Editors that are the publisher and those connected to them may read reviews, but they don't tell the author about them. My editor might go and read all of the reviews of my latest book and see what people are saying and get a flavour for it. But she'll never kind of then come back to me and say, right, I've been reading the reviews and they're saying this. Because she knows what I was trying to do with the story, what it was about, what the themes were, all of that kind of stuff. I talked to her about that when I was planning it, when I was writing it, during the editing process, and then she could direct the edits according to what I was trying to achieve. She might say, okay, this theme hasn't really developed. When we talked previously, you said it should be more of a focus. You haven't kind of brought it out. Like, right, okay. But then if a reader does a review of the book and they talk about it and say, oh, I can't see what this book was about, that there again isn't something I'm going to then go and work on, because I've already got feedback from it that I trust from a valued source. I've worked on it and developed it to the point where I'm thinking, right, I understand, it's there, it's on the page, it's all laid out. If someone doesn't get it, that isn't on me. I'm then not going to make the next book even simpler, and the next book even simpler. Now, I'm not saying my books are massively layered and subtle and you won't be able to work out what's going on. Some books are. You read the book and you're thinking, and some films are like that, like Tenet. Everyone's saying you have to watch it a few times, and even then, it still doesn't make sense. That isn't what my book is about. None of them are. But there is stuff going on the surface. If someone reads a book and does a review and just says, it was a great fun adventure, and they enjoyed it, great. I'm happy. They've bought the book, they've read it, they've enjoyed it. They might look at my other work. If someone reads a book and gets all of the other stuff underneath, that's even better, and that's brilliant. Now, in theory, those are the kind of reviews that I would read, but I'm not going to. Equally, someone could post something really, really negative, and it's totally not what the book was about. That's not what I was trying to talk about or anything. And this is, I want to focus on something for a minute. Negative reviews. As an author, you should never respond to reviews, especially the negative ones, because it can never end well. Even if someone gets something completely wrong, even if they think the book is about a particular thing and you know it's not that at all, even if they completely fail to understand some of the basic stuff that on the page, you can't respond. There have been some very public interactions with some very famous authors who I won't name, but there was one author who had no reason to do this. She had been published for sort of 30, 40 years, and someone wrote a review. I think it was on Amazon, and she was so offended by it. The person had just not only made something up, but they'd been so misrepresented what the story was about, she started responding to them and it got into this dialogue. She didn't come out of it looking really good because there again, it's one individual's opinion. The next person could read the book, absolutely understand what the book is about, appreciate it, value the layers that are in the book and walk away happy. So fighting with negative reviews is just not a good thing. That's another reason I avoid them. Not only is it just going to be upsetting because they didn't enjoy the book, but I can't say to the person something like, oh, well, you're just stupid. You obviously didn't understand the book. You're not dumb and, you're too dumb. You need to go back and read it again. Or, get a brain transplant and then you'll understand it. Go and ask a smart friend to explain it to you. These kind of things, you're just not going to win. There's nothing you can say to the person that's going to come out with you as the author looking good. Before I carry on, I should say, if you enjoy this video and you want to support the channel, there's lots of ways you can do that. Obviously, like and subscribe, but equally, there's a link down below to my books on Amazon. It's an affiliate link, so I do get a little bit back from that if you do buy the books. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Not every reader is going to understand what you're trying to do as a writer. Not everyone is going to appreciate it. Not everyone's going to value it. Even if you spend months or years researching something and put it into the book and you try to make it as best as you can, an expert on that can probably find a fault because you are not the expert on that thing. You just spent some time doing research. A normal reader probably isn't going to kind of care about that kind of thing. As long as it makes sense to them, they'll go along with it. There again, you just can't control all of these different things. You can't control who the reader is, how much knowledge they have of the subject that you're writing about. Even if it's fantasy and you put in a bunch of stuff to do with weapons or armour or combat, a military expert from medieval professor could come along and say, well, actually, it doesn't work that way and blah, 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 and this is how it works. You can't control any of that. You have to write the best story to the best of your ability based upon what you've done. Some people will get it and some people won't. This is why you get a complete diverse range of reviews because the readers are so diverse and you can't control any of that. Obviously, you're writing for a particular audience, whether it's adult or children or middle grade or whatever it might be, and then particular readers within the fantasy like this kind of story. Then there's the subgenre to do with that. And you've worked out all of this ahead of time with your editor, with your agent, with your proofreaders, with your beta readers, whoever it might be. So you're directing it as narrow an audience as you can, but within that particular subgenre or group of readers, there's still massive diversity that you have no control over. So as the author, you just have to kind of accept this. There are a lot of things that are out of our control. One is not everybody's going to understand everything that you do. Not everyone's going to appreciate what you've done in the story, the amount of time you spent on it, researching, whatever it might be. Some people just don't care about that. Either the book is good or bad in their opinion, and that is it. So that's why I don't think it's really good or helpful or beneficial for you as a writer to be reading the reviews. It doesn't serve you in any way because it's more time and more distractions away from working on the next book. Negative reviews can get stuck in your head. You can be buoyed up by a positive review and think, okay, I enjoyed that, yeah, it makes me feel good, and then you can carry on and start writing. And some people use that as a kind of thing to start their day to make them feel good about the work that you're doing. Because we write in isolation, we write in a bubble a lot of the time before it goes to anybody who sees it. We just write hoping that it'll reach an audience who understands it and appreciates it. But as I said, you can't control any of that. So I don't read my reviews. If you have written reviews of any of my books, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to explain what you did and even that you didn't like, because it can help, as I said, readers find books that'll suit their tastes and their individual needs. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about for today, but I'll be back very soon with another video.